working? Yeah, it is working. Welcome to Berlin. Another little episode. People have been asking for these videos already, and as you can see, we're at the Brandenburg tour. So Berlin. So this is Julie, just in case you aren't already. Guten Tag. Yeah, very good. So we're learning. Although it's very hard to speak German here because everybody speaks English better than we do. So why are we in Germany and why are we in Berlin?
We are here because we wanted to do a trip together, and it was the first place we could find. Neither of us had been to before.
Neither of us have actually been to Germany either, have we? So,
all the other reasons why you come to Berlin.
Yeah, and first impressions, I might as well ask you first. What do you reckon?
Okay, first impressions. I guess before I came here, I was thinking kind of grey for Berlin.
Yeah, nothing, forget the skies, but just the general sort of feel of the city. Yeah.
Food, the architecture. I think we've been blown away really by the colour.
The trees, the amount of trees there are here. I mean, we're very near the Tiergarten, but just everywhere there are trees. And obviously, being autumn, they look amazing anyway. But we're just, quite as you say, blown away by that. And the architecture, you just stumble onto places like this. And actually, if we go around this little bit, go around here. We've just been over here. See it right in there is the Reichstag building, and we've just been to the top of that, which is free.
Amazing.
You have to book it in advance. But it's free to go in there, and you get the tour. You go up. It's designed by a Brit as well, Norman Foster. Yeah. And you go to the top. Amazing views, and amazing structure as well, actually. Fantastic. Completely. And say it's all free. And if you do ever come here, get the free audio guides as well, because it just gives you all the information you want to do. But we are now standing in East Berlin, I believe.
We are.
The old only East Berlin. Because, I mean, whether you like it or not, I mean, this is a city which is, I think as we saw earlier, is about 750 years old as a city, but most of its history seems to have been compressed into the last sort of 100 years. And especially the wall. I mean, I didn't want to talk about the Berlin Wall too much, but you just can't avoid it. Everywhere you go, there are a line of two stones within the city, showing you where the course of the Berlin Wall itself was at 1961 to 1989, and it literally bisects here. The Brandenburg Gate over there was in the east, and the Reichstag was in the west, and the line literally just comes here and then does this quick zigzag, and you'll find in these things, and it's mind-blowing to think that happened.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. We saw a piece of the wall earlier, and it really brings it down. What it looked like, how it was. A real piece of the wall that is still there. There's not that much, so that's why they use these stones to depict it. It's almost as if they've got a weird history. They've obviously got quite a nasty history, if you want to put it that way, here in Berlin, with all the memories of the Second World War and even the Cold War and the Berlin Wall. They commemorate it in their own way, but in quite a quiet fashion in some ways, isn't it? Yeah, that was one of the interesting things about coming here, was that there's so much history to this place, history that they're not necessarily proud of.
It's all been compressed into the last 100 years.
Not acknowledge it.
No.
So it's really interesting how they're doing in that, and how they're redefining themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And we went to Checkpoint Charlie earlier on, which is a replica, but once again, it's just one of those weird things that you think the wall was here, and there's reenactments, but there's an amazing museum in there that we went into. You could spend a day in that museum with all the human stories of the escapes and all the people that helped. The museum itself was actually put there in 1962, a year after the wall was built, and they were allowed to sort of do it by the guards. They said the guards had a non-shoot to kill policy, and they used it as almost like a base, because it would have been in the western sector, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The American sector, and it was used as a base to help people get through the wall, the helpers as they called it, but the ingenuity of some of the people.
Fantastic. Extraordinary. The human interest stories are so fascinating.
And just to cap it all, we're now off to the Holocaust Memorial.
Yeah.
Another cheerful afternoon.
And cheering.
But we've been looking for some typical German food. Last night we ate Greek. They're quite interesting. We're in Berlin. It's a Greek restaurant. The waiter was talking to me in French and I was talking to him in Spanish. That's the nature of Europe, I suppose. But so we've been looking for some typical German fare, and we found currywurst, haven't we? We were actually recommended. Very cheap and actually really, really nice. And you have bratwurst as well. So there we are. That's the first sort of day. Initial impressions. We're going to go off of a wander. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again in the future. So, auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.